Now, I would like to invite our guest of honor, Professor Andrew Leung, SBS FRSA, to come on stage to give a speech. Professor Leung, please.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Since I left my role as Director General of Social Welfare in the year 2000, I've never spoken on social welfare, especially in English. So when Reverend Noreen invited me to take on this great challenge and honor, and I accepted with true humility and admiration. Well, let me begin with a story about my nephew. My nephew was a young doctor. He was educated in Bristol and Australia. As a young man, he was a very, very happy young man. Smiles were always on his face. And he volunteered for work in Africa. He's always a joy to the family. But one day, he discovered there was a tumor in his leg. But still, he wasn't, sorry for himself. The smile was always on his face. So eventually, when he underwent treatment, I could never believe the courage of this young man and the help given him by his family. So he passed away eventually. He died at the age of 33. But he still remained a source of hope and inspiration to his family. And during his last few years, the help and hope were the mainstay of the remainder of his life. And that's why hope and help is so important to these ministries, to the underprivileged. Of course, it would tremendous help to people suffering from cancer, but also to refugees seeking help and hope in Hong Kong. As you know, the refugees, 90% of them were from South Asia, and half of them were women and children. And they suffer persecution, even torture, and they came to Hong Kong to seek help and hope. So they're here in Hong Kong and hoping people like us would give them the salvage. But the death of my nephew also reminds me that life is fragile, and life doesn't lie in the length, but in the excellence. Perhaps there is no better example to illustrate that the value of life lies in excellence and not in the length, than quoting the life of Mozart. Mozart, as you know, was a famous Austrian composer. In fact, some of his famous pieces were composed near his death. For those who like music, you remember The Marriage of Figaro, The Magic Flute, and Clarinet Quintet. They were all written near the time of his death. And he died at the age of 35, but his music was an inspiration to generations to come. In fact, some of his music was supposed to be beneficial to babies with mothers-to-be, as my daughter recently have learned. But Mozart died in great poverty. He was buried in an unmarked grave. So this shows that life is really not about length, but excellence. Then perhaps you will ask me, so how do you measure excellence? Especially in a society, very commercial, so where the finance industry is so vibrant. What does excellence mean? Does it mean fame and riches? Well, that brings me to another example of Cecil Rhodes. For those who understand diamonds, you're familiar with the word De Beers. Cecil Rhodes was the founding chairman of De Beers. And of course, he established the colony of Rhodesia, which is modern Zimbabwe. So yes, he found fame and fortune. But according to the legend, on his deathbed, he was known to have lamented that in spite of the wealth, in spite of the fame, his life was empty and he had nothing. So coming back to Hong Kong, of course, in modern times, we're not finding colonies or empires, so a lot of people are seeking riches and fame, without realizing that what we're seeking is no more than paper. Why do I say that? When we were born, we were given a birth certificate. When we were seeking our degree, we were given a degree certificate. When we get married, we get a marriage certificate. When we invest in shares and stock, we get share certificate. So when we buy property, we have title deeds, wallpaper. When we strive for honors, we're given an honor certificate. So even if we buy gold and jewelry, we need papers, we need receipt to prove ownership. So more papers. But sadly, when it all ends, we got a death certificate. But in spite of all the paper chase, most of us don't realize how rich we are. You remember Dale Carnegie, I remember what he said, and he asked, as you know, Dale Carnegie was a public speaker, a very famous educationalist. And he asked, how much would you ask for? For your eyes, for your legs, for your hands, for your children, for your family. And you don't know how much blessing each one of us have got right from the beginning. And if you count the blessings, if you measure all up, you can be richer than the Rockefellers, the Fords, and the Morgans combined. Well, in Hong Kong, you never know, you can be richer than Li Ka-shing. Now, and also, we can't compare life with gold. Why? Because gold, diamond, and jewelry, you keep in a safe, they won't go away. If you lose them, there's a chance that you may find them again. But life, you can't lock it up. Above all, life is taken away, minute by minute, hour by hour, and week by week. And for those of you who invest in funds and so on and so forth, as both in Hong Kong as a financial center, I think quite a lot of us are familiar with investment seminar. So when you want to increase the value of what you've got, you invest in things. In investment seminar, they normally give you a warning that it really depends on the market. The market can go up or can go down. But the best investment with our life is in the giving of our love and compassion. And if you invest in giving love and compassion, the people who receive this gift, the value, the life will increase, so will ours. And above all, the more we invest, the more we have. We will never be running out of funds. And indeed, in giving, there's a joy, it brings joy to our life. Now, not every one of us can be like Mother Teresa, who gave, of course, her life. And some people chose to do acts of good deeds in their special moments. I can share with you another story about a bus driver. And then he goes about his daily route. So he stops at the terminus, and normally he has about 7 minutes. So he chats with his friends, smoking his cigarette or whatever. But then next to the bus terminus was a rubbish dump. It smells, and it is an eyesore. The one day, it occurred to him that why can't he use the 7 minutes and change this rubbish dump? So he gathered some seeds, and he planted some flowers there. And then he kept it, and months, so weeks, months passed by. In a year or two, Then he became a guardian, and he brought such joy to himself and to his fellow passengers. Now, these acts of deeds sometimes have as unexpected rewards, sometimes in uncommon hours. And here I'd like to share with you the story of General Eisenhower. As you know, General Eisenhower was the commander of the Allied forces during the Second World War. He was on a trip to Versailles, which was the wartime headquarters of the Allied forces. Then on a frosty morning, while he was on his way, and he met a couple shuddering in the cold, in the snow. So he stopped his car and asked, why are you two doing that? The snow is falling, and it seems so forlorn. He said, well, I don't know, we're weak. We're waiting to go to Paris, which is, of course, quite some distance from Versailles, to see our dying daughter. So, without a thought, General Eisenhower changed his route and instructed his driver to go to Paris instead. Little did he know that it saved his life, because on the route to Versailles that morning was a bomb, an ambush bomb, waiting for him. Of course, when we do deeds like this, we don't expect this rewards, but sometimes life works in strange ways. Now, these are special moments, but above all, we don't have to do kind deeds or say kind words, waiting for special moments. Here again, I'd like to share with you my experience in watching two films recently, during the past couple of years. It's to do with Noah's Ark. According to the Bible, the deluge, the flood. The Noah's Ark was an inspiration of God to save the creatures of this world and to save humanity, defined broadly. But how is Ark spelled? Ark is spelled A-R-K. What does A stand for? A stands for X, A-C-T-X. R stands for random. K stands for kindness. So acts of random kindness. And you can do it every day, every hour, here and now. But ironically, we sometimes save our kindest words and such kindness deeds to our friends or the people we know only at their farewell parties, or worse still, at their funerals. How ironic it is that we place a flower on a grave to someone, to a person who has gone forever, who is not coming back anymore. How ironic it is that we save our kindest words for someone who is not there, who is not able to listen to them anymore. So, compassion, love and compassion is instant. We don't have to wait for the bus terminus. We can do it any time. And that is limitless. The more we give, the more we have. So lastly, I'd like to end by quoting the Bible, the letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verses 6 to 15. He who soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly. He who soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Now this evening's theme is Sing for Joy. So let us sing for joy in our hearts in celebration of life. For life is short and precious. It is not the length, but the excellence. It is not despair, but hope. It is not in seeking, but in giving. It is not empty dreams, but an opportunity for our fulfillment. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Professor Leung.